Hello. In this video, what we're going to be doing is discussing inferences. So how are we going to answer these kind of questions? Well, we can see this in the next slide over here. So first of all, we need to discuss what inferences are. And inferences are essentially conclusions that you can draw from given information, or evidence in this case. Which brings us to point number two, where evidence is key. Anytime you see evidence in text, make a mental note of that to yourself. Thirdly, if you can rephrase the question, does it make sense to you? Fourthly, context clues. Any clues to give you further context is going to be your best friend because the more clues you gather, the more evidence you have, and the better understanding you have over the text. And lastly, process of elimination. This is always good to have so you can get rid of difficult answers, like answers that are obviously wrong and can easily confuse you. So let's try this in this question. I'm going to go through this one, show you how you can solve this kind of question. So, microbes that live in shallow lakes and ponds produce methane, a harmful greenhouse gas. Ecologist Ralph Aben and his team wanted to see how different types of shallow water plants might affect the amount of methane that escapes into the atmosphere. Aben's team set up some water tanks with soil and microbes from the local ponds. Some tanks had a type of underwater plant that grows in the soil called water milfoil. Other tanks had either duckweed, a type of plant that floats on the water surface, or algae. Aben and his team found that tanks with duckweed and algae released higher levels of methane than tanks with water milfoil did. This finding suggests that blank. So let's look through the answers here. Is it A, B, C, or D? Now, I know that they gave us a finding over here, right? Aben and his team found that tanks with duckweed and algae released higher levels of methane than tanks with water milfoil did. The one that really sticks out to me in this case is A, because it's saying the presence of some kind of underwater plants like water milfoil help prevent methane from escaping shallow lakes and ponds. Does this make sense by reducing the amount of methane released? Duckweed and algae release higher levels of methane, and this is preventing, and water milfoil is what prevents methane from escaping these. Hence, I can say that A is going to be the best choice here. Practice problem number two. Now, this one I want you guys to do as well. So pause, take a minute so to solve this, and when you're ready to hear the answer, unpause the video and let's walk through this together. All right, so let's look at this carefully. You should have read through the text and the answers. So let's see this. Let's look at the start of the text. Archaeologists have been debating the origin of a rare form of lead found in Shang Dynasty bronze artifacts, since its presence was discovered in China in the 1990s. And then this last segment over here, bronze artifacts from China dated after the Shang Dynasty do not contain this form of lead, suggesting that blank. This could mean that the source of some of the raw materials used to make bronze was exploited only until the end of the Shang Dynasty. Because otherwise, if this wasn't true, lead would still be found in it. But the thing is, this rare form of lead was still found in the Shang Dynasty artifacts. So I can say that B is going to be the best answer in this case. Now, let's look at practice problem number three. Once again, pause, make sure to try this one out yourself. Okay, the correct answer for this one is D. Now, how do we get at this answer? Let's look at this carefully here. The text says that Johnson collected ephemera, or things that are meant to be thrown away. So scholars, they thought the collection was worthless to them. Then they realized it was potentially valuable. So that would mean the lowly scholarly regard in which ephemera was once held. So they thought it was worthless at first, and the later recognition of ephemera's possible utility. So that signifies that in the text over here, it's shown that they think it was potentially valuable towards the end. So they went from disregarding it to recognizing how useful it can be. Now, same procedure again, pause, try to do this one on your own, and we'll walk through the answer together. The correct answer is C. This is the best answer here because the text tells us that lemons, these are very expensive imported products, feature in Dutch paintings of the period more frequently than dairy products did. Lemons aren't as likely to be depicted or eaten as often as dairy products do. So this kind of makes it think cast doubt on the theory that these paintings depicted Dutch diets. It's not really realistic since lemons aren't really eaten as often as dairy products did. Now, number five. This one's going to be a bit of a challenging one. The first two were easy difficulty, and the last two we did were of medium difficulty. So this one and the one after this is going to be more on the challenging side. So try pausing this one, see if you can do this on your own, and we'll walk through the answer. The correct answer is C. This is the best answer here because it's logically competing the text discussion of the sweet potato in Polynesia. It tells us that the sweet potato is found in Polynesia, but it was originating in South America. And it tells us that the sweet potato was being cultivated by native Hawaiians and other indigenous people in Polynesia long before sea voyages between South America and Polynesia actually occurred. It tells us that the research by Munoz Rodriguez and colleagues have established that Polynesian varieties of sweet potatoes split from South American varieties more than 100,000 years ago, which is thousands of years before humans settled in Polynesia. If the Polynesian people were cultivating the sweet potato before sea voyage between South Polynesia and South America began, and if Polynesian sweet potato varieties diverged from South American varieties well before people were in Polynesia, it tells us that humans didn't really play a role in bringing the sweet potato to Polynesia. So, because of that, C is going to be the best option here because we need to pay attention to the sequence of events here. All right, once again, this one's a bit shorter than the last one, but make sure to pause the video here, try solving this one on your own. A is the best answer here. Bipedalism evolved because it was advantageous to a tree dwelling ancestor of humans. It said the text tells us the one possible explanation for humans walking on two legs is that the behavior evolved from an ancestor that mostly stayed on the ground and walked on four limbs, just like modern chimpanzees and gorillas do. But the thing is, finding that orangutans, also a relative of humans, sometimes stand on two legs in trees, and they use their arms to balance and reach their fruits, suggests another possible explanation. Could this be that another tree-dwelling ancestor of humans began walking on two legs because it offered advantage? This is what makes sense over here in context of this question, because it gave them access to certain foods. So because of that, we can say A, because reaching for the food and living in trees were what happened to orangutans. Thank you for watching this video. Please make sure to check out the next one if you want any future guidance with this kind of with SAT reading and writing practice. Thank you.